Section 3 of the Washington BDR is home to the most infamous obstacle on the entire BDR.
We have the Beehive washout.
A very off-camber and narrow section of the road, essentially on a cliff edge. I have been anxiously awaiting this obstacle, and the time has finally come to take it on.
Oh, I didn't like that.
Before officially beginning Section 3, I stopped in Ellensburg, which is a small college and farming town in central Washington, to get some supplies and gas. Ellensburg has some other options for dining and recreation, but I have been eagerly awaiting this part of the journey, so I made my stop as brief as possible and got back on the trail.
Section 3 has officially begun. So Section 3 runs from Ellensburg to Wenatchee. It's going to be a really cool section of the BDR. I'm really excited about this. From this point forward, I haven't touched any of these sections, so everything is going to be new to me. And this is what I've been waiting for. I'm super excited to start this leg of the BDR. Sections 1 and 2 were great. They had beauty in their own right, but unfamiliar roads, that's what I live for. So I'm super excited about this. Section 3 is pretty short. I think it's around 76 miles, so I'm gonna kind of blast through it today. There's a spot at the beginning of Section 4 that I'm gonna try to meet up with a buddy and his son. They started the BDR a day ahead of me, so they're a little bit ahead, but I'm slowly catching them up. So I'm hoping by tonight I'll be able to meet up with them and spend the night just hanging out with them by the fire. Anyways, I'm super anxious to get on the road, so enough talking, let's get going.
Driving through this portion of Section 3 was a very odd experience. There was a strange beauty to the obvious devastation that happened here years ago when a wildfire ripped through this area. It's just not really something you see every day. But what really stood out to me was the new life that was popping up in the wake of the destruction. New growth in the form of trees and flowers began to flood the ground between all the dead trees towering over them. Birds of all sizes were back in this area as well, suggesting that other small creatures have found their way back to their old homes. It was an incredible thing to be able to witness.
On the beginning of Section 3 right now, and I really wish I would have pushed a little harder yesterday. I found camp at like 5:30, thinking it was going to take me a little while to get, if I were to continue pushing, it would take me a while to get into a portion of Section 3 to where I could actually camp. Turns out a lot of it is paved of the beginning. It's paved all the way until it gets you to land where you can disperse camp in. And I found so many beautiful, just incredible spots at the very beginning of Section 3, right out of Ellensburg. So if you find yourself in the same situation, just know the beginning of Section 3, I mean, there are tons of options. And they're all beautiful, overlooking the valley to the west of Ellensburg. So, yeah, wish I would have pushed a little harder, but I had no idea. That's just kind of how this goes. This is one of the most insane views I've ever seen. I can see Mount Rainier, and then you have the rugged northern Cascade Range right there. I am absolutely in awe. Oh my God, this is a beautiful spot. This is what I'm talking about. This isn't too far into section 3. This is Lions Rock. And I wish I would have just pushed a little bit further. Man, the views are insane. So as I was driving yesterday, I noticed this rattling happening on my rack. What has happened is I've over tightened one of the bolts, so it's slowly stretching out over time. Then I go to tighten it back up and it stretches out more, and just this never-ending cycle. So on my way back, I called the Trail Racks guys and they told me exactly what I needed. So I was able to stop at Ace Hardware and grab some of that stuff. So I need to do that real quick before that bolt actually snaps. So gonna do that, hopefully a quick repair, and then we'll be back on the road. I love my tremor rack from Trail Racks. It is incredible. The issue I am having with it currently is my fault. I tightened it too much, and yeah, it was my bad. But the Trail Racks guys were super nice and helpful to talk to. They told me exactly what I needed, and then they're also going to send me out a hardware kit, so once I get back home I can put the correct stuff on there. So I'm going to get this done and then get back on the trail.
I was pretty excited when I came across this section, as it was the most technical thing I had come across so far. But I couldn't help but feel that this was a precursor of things to come.
So on section 3, we have the Beehive washout, which is right here. I am not at all looking forward to this. It's a good drop. It's quite narrow and off camber, but I don't have a choice. So let's do this.
Approaching the washout is blind, which can be really intimidating. I personally am not a fan of heights, so an obstacle like this is not something that I enjoy. Add some off camber towards the side of the fall, and it is super uncomfortable for me. Realistically, the washout has been built up a little over the last couple of years and is pretty stable. I knew that I would be able to make it through with no problem, but that does not mean that the anxiety that you may feel in this situation is any less.
Oh, I didn't like that. Oh, I didn't like that.
There was a lady on a bike on the other side of the washout just watching me take it on. When I got to the other side, she said, "I didn't think you were gonna make it." How comforting.
I'm so glad that's over. As you guys know, I do not like shelf roads. So that was the point of the trip that I've very much been not looking forward to, but luckily I've had two of my friends go through here very recently. Derek, who you'll see later today, literally just went through here a couple hours ago, and he's in a Bronco. And then Jeff from Where to Next Overland was here a couple days ago. So I knew it was possible. I knew I would be okay. It doesn't change the fact that that's a very anxiety-inducing situation for me. It's very off camber. It's very narrow, and that it's not a full-on sheer cliff, but yeah, you start tumbling down that, you're done. So I'm glad that's over. It's time to enjoy the rest of section 3. It should be pretty chill from here on out.
Section 3 ends in Kashmir. Kashmir is a super cool little town with a lot to do as you're passing through. But one thing that is mandatory for me is applets and cotlets. This is a Washington staple and what will fuel me for the second half of the BDR. I began the second half of the BDR by meeting up with my buddy Derek and his son Jake. I finally caught up to them and we decided to do section 4 together. We found an incredible spot to call home for the night, passed over the highest elevations of the trip, and just enjoyed each other's company. Section 4 would end up being one of my favorite sections.